Try to do the ASMR thing. New camera, new delivery. It's the Lomography Lomo MC-A. Okay, before we go out and shoot with this thing, let's talk initial impressions. First and foremost, this box was really heavy and I couldn't figure out why until I opened it up. And then I found out that it comes with a few extra things beyond just the camera. Most of that weight, I'll call it, or about half of it, comes from this book right here. It's a little book. I thought it was a manual at first. It is not. For the Lomo MC-A, but it is a book with that camera on the back and the front, but then it's just a bunch of photos in here, which looks like a lot of different shots with lomography film. Pretty cool, and I think most of the shots in here, if not all of them, were all taken with this camera. Speaking of which, let's get to that. Also comes wrapped in this little snuggie blanket thing that sort of self-velcros to itself, which is kind of cool. I really like this thing. I might keep using it with this camera, but let's get to the real fun part. This is the camera, this is it, this is what you've been waiting for, the MC-A. Before we go out and shoot with this thing, let's first just talk initial impressions. It is heavy. I will say, compared to some other cameras I have, this is a GR3X, it is definitely heavier. It is hefty, it is weighty, it is metal, it can beat the hell out of any of these little plastic cameras, and definitely a little bit bigger. The closest thing I can compare it to is this, which is the Pentax 17 as far as new cameras go. It's a little plastic monster. It doesn't have a lot to it, it's definitely not weighty, but form factor wise, you can kind of see they're kind of similar in size. Again, I sort of said about the Snappic A1, compared it to the GR1S, that form factor wise they're similar. I would say this is a little bit similar form factor wise, except this has a little battery bump on this, and then the lens is there. This one, the camera lens pops out a little bit, so let's take a look at that. Speaking of that build quality with that lens, let me turn it on. That lens popping out kind of sounds like RoboCop walking around is the best description I can kind of give it. But let's talk about what happens when you turn it on. That OLED screen on top activates right away and gives you a little bit of synopsis about what you're working with. I do love that OLED display. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's talk about some of the controls on this thing. So for the most part, everything about this camera is either automatic or fully manual, and it's your choice. So walking through that real quick, your shutter control, you have automatic, you have bulb, and then you start at 1 second all the way up to 1/500th of a second. Same with the aperture on the front of it. It's on the lens itself, which you just adjust right here by turning it. Starts at P for auto, and then you start at 2.8 at your lowest and f/16 at your highest. Focus is automatic if you're on AF. If you switch it over to manual focus, now you adjust that by changing the zone focus options on the front here. You have 0.4 meters all the way up to infinity on this little dial right here. And then if you don't want to stare at the front of it to figure out where you are, as you adjust that, the screen on the top updates to show you what zone focus you're in, just in case you forget. Finishing up on the right side here, there is an EV dial bringing you either plus or minus 2 at the highest of either end, and then an MX multiple exposure button, so you can do multiple exposure on this. In fact, one of the accessories it comes with, I'll talk more about accessories in a moment, but it comes with this splitter, so you can put this on the front and split half frame your exposures with that MX button as well. So you can kind of make this a bootleg half frame if you really want to. I don't know if that's really the use here. It's probably more creative than that, but you have that option. So the way that works is you snap a shot. Instead of advancing the film, you just press that MX button. It'll allow you to take a second exposure on that same frame. Okay, moving over to the left side of the top of the camera, we have the OLED screen and then 3 little buttons below it. Starting on the right, we have an ISO button. The camera does read your film DX coded, so you have that option as well. Again, automatic or manual. You can either override that or you can use non-DX coded film as well. Moving right along to the left, we have a self timer button, which goes as low as 2 seconds all the way up to 30. Really good if you're trying to take a shot of yourself or just don't want to fire the button manually on top. You're trying to take a long exposure or something. And then finally, we have the flash button to turn it on, off, and there's a few different flash modes we'll get into and mess around with as we shoot this thing for the first time. 2 other things I'll mention. The battery door on the side here gets opened by pulling this little latch down and then twisting it. That'll pop it open. open. It'll also reset your counter on your exposures. There's a rewind dial on the bottom here, which we'll get into when we run through this roll. And then the battery door, which I'm gonna mention this real quick because I already screwed something up a little bit here. The bottom of this camera is what I believe is powder coated. It's all black, all metal, and the door here for your CR2 battery, which it does come with, goes right there. The CR2 battery is rechargeable. In some markets, it's coming with a non-rechargeable battery, but nonetheless, your battery goes in there. For me, I put the battery in the wrong way the first time, don't judge me, but when I went to go screw it back on, I used a key or something, and I already scratched that powder-coated metal, so just be careful using that little coin slot thing on the bottom there to put your battery in and out. Just don't scratch it up like I did. Be careful with it. And finally on the back, we have a little window to remind you what film you're shooting with and that advanced lever dial, which you pull right here. It's definitely feels really stiff and weighty. I really like this so far initially. I don't know how practical it'll be to kind of keep in a pocket or something. It's not that type of camera, but to bring it around and take some photos, how much automatic stuff is built into here. I think this is could be a cool little camera. All right, enough first impressions. Let's get out there and shoot with this thing. Okay, for context, just realizing that this is a 32 millimeter equivalent lens, but I'm kind of in what I'll call subdued lighting now, and the little blue light is blinking, so I'm assuming that means that I don't have focus, or I don't have enough light. Let me see if I shoot. Oh wait, no. Oh wait. No, I just had a wind. There we go. Okay, I just had a wind. I gotta get used to what those look like. I'm also shooting with no flash, so maybe I'll try shooting it with flash allowed. I think it's basically forced flash. Yeah, I think that's what we're dealing with. Oh, I keep forgetting to wind. There we go. Cool. I keep forgetting to wind the camera, and I keep getting, if you can see that, making sure I'm I love coming here just because of how industrial, it's called Industry City, everything is, but I'm gonna try to do some, gonna try to see if I can get some more like, mess around with some of the manual controls to get some more explicit shots. And I'm looking here and I'm noticing that auto aperture, auto shutter, like I'm pointing it pretty much at the sky, and it's f4 1/500th of a second, so it's definitely adjusting. Let me see if I put that, just force it on one. I'm gonna try it both ways. I'm gonna try to force it at 1/500th, the fastest shutter it has, and just kind of see what I get here. Yeah, it's doing it at f4. And then let me try doing that same thing, but instead of auto, I'll go auto shutter and then like force it to 2.8 and see what we can kind of get. I don't know if it'll be too exposed. We'll see what it, yeah, okay. I'll take a look and see how that comes out. Okay, doing this by myself, so let's see how well this goes. So we're gonna pull this guy out here and then press the button and turn. So let's see how that goes. Here, unlock. Okay, so definitely you have to like put pressure on it. Like you have to actually push down to get that. Otherwise, if you're just spinning it, you see it doesn't actually go. Let's see. Okay, it feels like we're done. Let's see. So a few extra. Okay, and then moment of truth. Yep, we're good. Let's get it developed. It's the next day, photos taken, photos processed. We finally get a chance to look at what these look like, and wow, I gotta say, I am impressed, not just by how the photos came out, but also the camera itself. Let me talk about it. So first and foremost, I will say this camera was really easy to use. I really liked how automatic this thing is. So if you just want to open it up, take a shot, get something really good out of it, you're gonna get it. I don't think this camera can take a bad picture. And putting it through its paces, my little walkabout around Brooklyn, trying to take some photos, I didn't run into any issues with this thing. There was one issue, but I'll get to that. But again, I won't even really knock the camera itself because it's a little bit of an accessory issue, but again, I'll get to that. So I tried to put the camera through its paces as much as possible, a little bit of variety of just a lot of automatic, a few manual focus. I was actually really impressed with the manual focus shot that came out of this. That's this one right here. It looks really good. I did not expect it to look that good. I say that because you don't really get a sense of what you're focusing on until you get to the development stage. Again, it's zone focusing, so you really have to just do a little bit of math and figure out how far away from the subject you are. But really great bokeh out of this, especially for a little pocketable camera like this. Wow, that was really impressed. I failed to mention in the beginning that this is a 32mm equivalent lens, and obviously it goes down to 2.8. I did mention that because it's part of the aperture, but 32mm equivalent lens on this, and wow, it just really takes some good street photography shots, especially if that's what you're into. And again, that's this little demo walking around and doing that. I really wish I had more to say, but the camera's shots kind of speak for themselves. And again, the camera build quality is really, really strong. It is a beefy boy. So before I gloat anymore, let me just talk about the one issue I did have with this camera. I mentioned this in the beginning, but it comes with this little accessory splitter lens filter for the front. So you can put it into multiple exposure, take one photo on one side of the frame, flip this around, take the other side of the frame, which I did try, and that's what this looks like. The only issue I had with it is because of the way it works and putting it on the front here, I had a hard time getting this thing off the camera, originally directly on the camera's lens, and then yesterday when I went out and shot with this, trying to get it off the front on top of the UV filter was just an impossible task. I really had to first off take off the entire UV lens with this and then try to just yank this off. I don't know why it's so difficult. I don't know if it's an issue with the threads. Again, I don't want to knock the camera itself over this. It's a little accessory thing that I'm not even sure how many people are really going to use that often. But if you do, just buyer beware. This little filter was hard for me to get on and off. But again, I'm not even sure if that's really a ding against the camera anyway, so take that as you will. The only issue I really ran into, and this is again is more personal than based on the camera itself, was forgetting to wind it sometimes. But I will give it this. I tend to take a photo and then wind right after, just so I don't forget to wind before I want to take a shot and have it ready for when I want to take a shot. But the shutter will not fire if the camera is off, even if it's wound. So not mechanical in that sense, which is sort of a good thing because again, if you're like me, you wind it after taking a shot, you don't have to worry about accidental pocket fires on this thing. Again, beyond those few little personal gripes slash user error issues I had with it, this is a really good camera. I'm really impressed. And devil's advocate, for the price point, which is a bit over $500 US currently, it should not be a surprise this is a good camera. But again, for a point and shoot, it's really, really good. Really versatile. Auto mode works great. Manual mode does what it advertises it'll do. Again, this thing just works, and I'll give it that. It just does what it's supposed to do, which I think a lot of cameras tend to lack sometimes. You want it to do a thing, and then you get the shots, and after development you find out it didn't really do what you expected it to do. Out of the box, without going too far into the details about what I'm supposed to do, this thing just worked. User intuitive, really like that. And just to mention it one last time, that advanced dial, really snappy. I mean, just really feels solid. Again, I had an issue with my Pentax 17 a couple months ago. I went on a trip, went to go take a picture, and my advance lever just started slipping and wasn't advancing the film. And first I thought it was my issue, and then I put another roll into the camera and burnt a second roll once I realized it was a mechanical issue, not a me issue, and then had to send this thing in for warranty repair for quite a while actually. This thing, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't imagine having an issue with this advanced dial. It is really solid, full metal, really just feels like it's advancing and feels like it's just really well built. I don't know how else to describe it. Get this thing in your hands and try it out for yourself. So brass tacks, do I recommend this camera? Yeah, I actually do. I didn't expect to be honest. I thought I would be sort of on the fence with this, but after taking it out for a single day, I really like this thing. It is arguably a big challenger to my aforementioned Ricoh GR1S, which is my current pocket favorite. Again, I don't think this thing is that pocketable. I think that's the only issue I might have with it. And again, you can't really complain about form factor in this sense. Again, they packed a lot in here, and I would imagine that the form factor is more of a requirement than an aesthetic choice. So that said, again, if you have a place to put this thing or an easy way to carry this, it'll work perfectly fine. And again, it's built really high quality that I'm not afraid of putting this in my pocket with the lens cap on or having it accidentally fire in my pocket or something. So yeah, I really recommend this thing. And as someone who tends to love all things automatic when it comes to point and shoots, the two few things that it does manually, which is advancing the film and then rewinding the film with this little lever at the bottom, didn't bother me that much, to be honest. I mean, again, I tend to forget to wind the camera every once and again, but beyond that, it worked great. Honestly, the only thing I can imagine someone having an issue with is the price point. It is a little bit pricey, but for what it is and for the quality of what they built here, I don't ding it at all. Again, I've worked with cameras or picked up cameras where I think the price was a little bit inflated. This doesn't feel inflated for the price. I think it could be a lower priced camera, don't get me wrong, but I'm not angry at the price. It doesn't feel like I'm being gouged here. I feel like the value of the camera is in my hands, and I think that's okay. It might be a little bit more difficult for some people to jump into the deep end with buying this for the price point, but again, if you're into photography, especially film photography, you're not gonna be shocked by spending a few extra bucks on a quality camera. And I will say, I definitely feel like Lomography put a lot of effort into this. I mean, you feel the love in the box, in the packaging, in everything they include in it, all the accessories they include in it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more I didn't even get into, including some flash filters and things they threw into the box as well. I don't want to do a full unboxing review here. I just really want to get some first initial thoughts out here. But I will say, I feel like Lomography included everything you need, everything you'd want out of this camera, and I'm really impressed. If there's a camera you're curious about and want me to check it out before you do, just let me know. Drop a comment below. Again, new cameras, old cameras, we're going to take a look at all of them here on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe if you're not already doing that. And if you're interested in the camera or any of the cameras I review on this channel, check out the description below for some affiliate links. Helps the channel out. It's a good way of getting what you want and helping us out at the same time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.